Diaz and Shields. I mean, being in the same place. I mean, Diaz. I mean, it's a nice thought to think he can cut, but I don't know that he can do it at this point. And Shields, obviously. I mean, we just discussed that whole thing. He's going to need to get down one of these days. So, I mean, I wonder how they're going to. What do you think they're going to do about that?
Well, it comes down to matchups and what they think they can put together. And with Nick Diaz, well, he would be a guy that they can bank on star-wise. I don't know that they feel they can count on him right now with everything that happened with the Haran fight and everything in August with the not showing up for his test and not doing the random test and all that stuff. I'm not sure if they feel like they can count on him after all that, especially with CBS and Showtime kind of back in the whole operation. But I don't feel they have the matchups for Jake Shields at 170 right now. I think that they will with Marius who's coming over from Dream. I think that's
I can't wait to see that fight.
For welterweight, that could be highly intriguing to see how Zaranskas comes in and does against a guy with the ground caliber of Shields when what we've seen of him thus far is 3 straight head kick victories and over in Dream. So that's an exciting fight at welterweight. And then, of course, you know, Shields keeps talking about wanting to fight Kung Lee and all this stuff. And his style, like Kung had said, Jake's style is not what a lot of people want to see. And Kung doesn't care about the title right now. I mean, I think he does a little bit. And I think it did sting a bit to just give up his title, but at the same time, he understands he's not going to be fighting that often with all the movie stuff that he's doing, and he wants to have exciting fights. He wants to be considered an exciting fighter. I don't think that he feels he can do that against Jake Shields. I don't think it's a matter of him being scared of Shields at all. It's just a matter of not wanting to get in there with the guy that's already being pegged as a boring fighter.
Yeah, I have to agree that's a pure financial decision. It's a nice thought that they can say things like, you know, he's ducking me and this and that, but you know, Kung's got a whole life plan to deal with outside of this, and unfortunately, really, Jake is not going to be the fight of the night most nights.
So, and Kung is going to fight in December?
Yeah, he's going to fight Scott Smith, I hear. Am I wrong?
Yeah, Scott Smith against Kung Lee on December 19th. I think that's the headlining bout for that Showtime.
Which makes no sense to me. I don't get that. How does Scott Smith lose?
Let's have Nick Diaz fight Kung Lee. At least there's an opportunity for
that'd be
an interesting
bout,
fight.
Baby. That'd be a good time to watch.
I mean, if they want to make some money, that's a fight that people would want to watch.
No joke.
I don't want to see Scott Smith go get picked apart by Kung Lee.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna laugh. I'm gonna really enjoy that fight from a comedic standpoint.
No, I definitely think that Nick Diaz Kung Lee is a fight that Strikeforce puts on in 2010. I think that's one that they can definitely bank on being definitely a money fight for Showtime.
Oh, yeah.
Or even a co-headliner on CBS if they get another shot on CBS. That'd be one of those fights that is just a crowd pleaser from the outset. Plus you've got all the stuff with both of them beating Frank Shamrock, and the thing is, Kung Lee needs to take those types of fights because he's not a young guy, and he's only got six professional MMA fights to his credit after all those years in kickboxing as well. So
yeah, he's got to focus on being fighter tonight.
For a long time, but he's only been doing MMA for a couple of years, and really, it's got to be about interesting fights. It's got to be about money-making fights for him at this point in his career, and being the champion of, quite frankly, the second-tier organization is not going to be his highest priority right now.
Well, what do you think of this weekend now, Jamie? I mean, what do you think's coming up?
For 105 or 106, I guess, for UFC, and is there anything really special to talk about the WEC tomorrow night?
Oh, there's absolutely something special to talk about.
Jose Aldo, baby. Can't wait to see that guy fight.
Mike Brown and Jose Aldo could have the fight of the year tomorrow night.
Hell yes.
That's just an excellent matchup. I'm more excited for that fight than even
it's already What are you talking
Griffin and Ortiz this weekend, and I'm a lot more excited for that fight than I thought I was going to be when it was first announced. It sounds like both guys have their heads on for this one. Forrest kind of dropped everything. He left his honeymoon early to go home and train for this fight, and is looking to get his head back on straight after the Anderson Silva loss. I'm excited to see how Tito Ortiz comes off of that year-and-a-half layoff and supposedly in the best shape of the last probably 8 years of his career with the back surgery, and he's saying that he's better than he has been in a really long time. So I'm very excited for that. But tomorrow night, I mean, Mike Brown, Jose Aldo, that's got fireworks written all over it. We're going to see if Jose Aldo can be even more than the real deal, because he's been nothing but dominant in just absolutely blasting through everyone in his path in the WEC in the featherweight division. But Mike Brown has proven himself over the last year now. With his victory, his 2 wins over Uriah Faber, his chokeout of Leonard Garcia. It's just Mike Brown is the real deal at 145. He's a tough champion. He's a legit champion. He's going to be very tough to beat. But Jose Aldo is just a complete buzzsaw, and I'm extremely excited for that fight. But then on Saturday as well, Josh Koscheck against Anthony Johnson is just really an excellent welterweight bout in the co-main event slot. The card definitely got weaker, losing Carwin and Lesnar and losing John Fitch as well. But you've still got the debut of Antonio Nogueira taking on Luis Kane. That's an excellent light heavyweight bout. Carl Parisian against Dustin Hazlett, another excellent welterweight bout. And then, of course, Phil Baroni making his UFC return, getting on the main card because of people leaving.
Everybody's head just went down when you said that.
But, I mean, we also have 2 very good fights on Spike TV for the prelims, because Ben Saunders against Marcus Davis should be a crowd pleaser.
Absolutely.
Rose against Jay Rochelle should be a very solid fight, and if Rochelle can pick up a second straight victory over Kendall Grove, I mean, he's going to turn a lot more heads than even he did against Chris Leben in August, because he had a lot of people shaking their heads at him and not buying him at all after the fight with Nissen Osternick in WEC, where he got his face pummeled in for 2 rounds before finally getting Osternick to the ground and pounding him out, and then losing his UFC debut in quick fashion to Dan Miller. But he turned a lot of heads with that performance against Chris Leben, and another impressive one will go a long way. So,
Jamie,
a lot of really good stuff on this card.
Absolutely. Jamie, we got to wind down the segment, but real quick, I wanted to ask you, before we go, Uriah Faber, what's up next for him?
Uriah Faber will be fighting, I can't think now. He's fighting in January.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of...
Is that setting him up potentially? Is that setting him up potentially to be a rematch for the winner of the fight tomorrow night?
I think he needs to win probably 2 more to get back into that title picture. I think there's some other guys around that could be climbing their way up. He's fighting Rafael Assunção, that's what it is.
Okay.
Assunção just picked up a victory as well. But you've got Mackin Semerzer coming up as well. He's going to be fighting Davidas Tarasevicius, sorry. Say that one 10 times fast. But that's another one. Mackins is a guy definitely to watch for after his submission over Wagner Fabiano. I mean, that was shocker of the year material right there. But a lot of very good featherweights, and I think it might take 2 wins for Faber to rightfully get back into a title shot. But you know what? He broke both of his hands in that fight with Mike Brown and still took him to a decision, and came close to winning that fight. So
that's what I was going to say.
That's all you need to know about Uriah Faber.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Jamie, we got to take a break now, and thanks a lot for being on tonight. We'll talk to you next week. We'll hear about a lot of fights that are taking place between now and then.
Absolutely, guys. Have a good night.
You too.
Thanks.
All right.
Hey, Andy, when we come back, can we maybe give all our predictions around the room on the